The reason you cannot disprove God. In this video, I'm going to highlight one of the strongest theories to prove the existence of God, bringing to light an understanding on how anyone that is trying to actually disprove the existence of God actually does not even truly understand the real concept of what God actually is to begin with. So, what God actually means when you're looking at the definition is ultimately that it boils down to there having to be someone or something that has full control over all of space and time. And also the definition of God is defined as everything that actually matters. So that in a sense, the only way to prove that there isn't a ruler that has full control over all of space and time, and that everything that actually matters doesn't even exist, is by proving those two things which nobody even takes on the approach of basically covering or presenting any sort of evidence towards to begin with. Now let's move on to a slightly more detailed explanation. We are basically looking at two sides of an argument where basically one person is arguing that it has to be like that, while the other side is arguing that it doesn't have to be like that, or it doesn't even need to be there. So you'll always notice that the person that always tries to disprove God, all they're actually saying is that it doesn't have to be there and that it doesn't even matter if it's there basically. In my opinion, it does not make sense because it is one or the other, soit must be A or B. This means either side is fully correct or the other side is entirely incorrect. Therefore, if one side is completely false, it would mean that one side of the argument has absolutely no meaning. And I think the absurd part is trying to make the case that all that matters doesn't exist. Trying to argue that there isn't a ruler over all of space and time, and that the ruler doesn't have full control over all the space of time, because that doesn't make sense. It's like trying to argue that everything that actually matters doesn't even have to be there and that everything wasn't even calculated, when everything appears to be calculated and everything appears to be everything that actually matters. So the bottom line is that the sun is there, the brain is there, the air is there, the water is there, and so on. So why is it that everything, in nature and reality, is connected to it always having to be there? Then we have the other people on the other side of the argument taking on that argument, like everything doesn't have to be there, or like everything that actually matters is not actually there. So in a sense, the unbeliever in God, that's trying to prove that God doesn't exist, they're basically trying to say that your brain doesn't even matter, that the sun doesn't even matter, that air doesn't even matter, that it doesn't even matter that anything needs to be calculated. So it never makes any sense to take on that side of the argument, saying that everything that actually matters isn't there when it's actually there. And it actually has to be there to begin with.